This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our new sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the leading vertically integrated cannabis operators in the U.S. With operations now in 12 states with 35 dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 10 processing facilities that have served more than 100,000 registered medical marijuana patients. And Curaleaf is a whole lot more than just a giant collection of top-quality cannabis facilities. It's also one of the best consumer brands around, with their in-house Curaleaf line helping patients with THC and CBD products, their Curaleaf hemp line serving folks who need CBD derived from hemp, and their Yuku craft cannabis line showing what top-shelf flower really looks like. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at their website at curaleaf.com, which is spelled Curaleaf. And because Curaleaf is traded publicly on the Canadian Securities Exchange, you can also learn more about that whole scene under their investors page. Thanks to all the good folks over at Curaleaf for supporting today's news. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, January 17th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 645 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We have some great news leading off today's show, as yesterday, state cannabis officials in Michigan passed a recommendation to allow medical marijuana provisioning centers, as dispensaries are formally known in the state, to buy medical marijuana products from the caregivers that had been supplying them up until January 1st, when stringent new laws went into effect that wiped out most available product. Longtime listeners know that Michigan's supply problems center around the slow rollout of licenses given out by state cannabis regulators, who also imposed the January 1st switchover to the new rules, even though the number of licenses given out so far is woefully inadequate to meet the demands of Michigan's patient population, one of the largest in the U.S. It's probably a good idea to mention here that our sponsor, the Home of Medicine, is a medical marijuana provisioning center in Michigan. Yesterday, Michigan's Medical Marijuana Licensing Board accepted a recommendation to give the state's industry through March 31st before the new rules go back into effect. Another big upshot of the decision is the fact that unlicensed provisioning centers, which had closed down at the end of last month, can now open back up while they wait for the state to get around to finishing up their respective applications. Not a bad one to read in full if you live in Michigan. Yesterday, the California Bureau of Cannabis Control approved a new rule change that opens up marijuana delivery throughout the state, even if local towns and cities are opposed. Currently, California allows places that do not want legal cannabis delivery to ban the practice, but yesterday's decision changed that. I definitely need to drop another quick disclosure here, as our sponsor Ease is a large California delivery company and stands to benefit from the new rule. The new delivery policy was opposed by all the regular prohibitionists like police organizations, as well as the League of California Cities, and came amidst a large group of other finalized policies accepted by the Bureau. As the state continues to turn last year's temporary cannabis policies into this year's permanent rules, we'll keep watching. Our final top story today is a long-form article in Fortune that you really need to open up and read about Brendan Kennedy, CEO of Canadian marijuana giant Tilray. This piece is a must-read for its length and the detail it dives into about Tilray and Kennedy in particular, who has the distinction of being a legitimate marijuana billionaire. He's 46 years old and made more than $1 billion off of legal marijuana. That right there should be reason enough to swing over to mjtodaydaily.com to find this link to open it up in full. Tilray is also an enormous company with a global reach that will soon start to feel more down here in the U.S. Skip this one at your own peril. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the leading vertically integrated cannabis operators in the U.S., with a total of 35 dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 10 processing facilities. Curaleaf is also one of the fastest growing multi-state legal marijuana operators in the U.S. and is publicly traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the stock symbol CURA, spelled C-U-R-A. Calif started off 2018 with just a few dispensaries and now has 35, with more planned on the way. And during that quick ramp up, Calif also continued to refine and perfect all the different parts of the marijuana production process that it's had to oversee as a vertically integrated company. That puts them in a pretty good place to make 2019 a heck of a year. You can swing over to cureleaf.com to learn more about this very cool company and to find the closest Calif dispensary to you. And while you're visiting their site, you can learn more about how to invest in Calif under their investors page. Big thanks to everyone at Calif for making our show possible. All right, time for the Blitz. Oklahoma just released medical marijuana industry numbers for the month of December, which saw just under $1 million in sales made, pulling in around $70,000 in state taxes. That's in addition to local taxes that can be imposed by cities and towns. The Associated Press is reporting that the state's medical marijuana authority has also pulled in more than $10 million so far in licensing fees. More stories like this, please. Deb Borchardt over Green Market Report has a good story up with lots of detail about Ascend, Massachusetts, which was given the first conditional use permit to open up an adult use dispensary in the city of Boston, which Deb points out will be the first adult use shop to open up in a major East Coast city. The new dispensary will be located right downtown and is expected to open up by the end of the year. As marijuana legalization has marched on and its stigma has fallen away, one of the places where marijuana legitimacy has started to creep in is on the college scene, with a handful of brave educational institutions starting to offer marijuana-focused curriculum. The Growth Op did us all a good turn and pulled together a comprehensive roundup of all the schools in Canada and the US that now offer some kind of marijuana-related classes. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. The LA Times has a great editorial that I thought was worthy of a share, asking when is the federal government going to wake up to the fact that marijuana legalization is here and it's not going anywhere. If you just looked at this week's top headlines alone, you'd be blown away by the number and size of the states that are rushing to legalize adult use marijuana. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that even if adult use were legalized just in New York City, it would have enormous amplified effects in terms of pushing further reform and normalization. With so much of the problems that still plague legal marijuana coming in from the disparate ways that federal and state authorities view the issue, it's worth asking when the government is going to get around to smelling the cannabis and waking up to the new realities of the world. Of course, there's that whole matter of the Trump and McConnell shutdown that we need to get cleared up first. Hopefully. Another good story over at Patch touches on the spirit of our previous headline, with a legal adult use shop set to open up in Massachusetts this weekend that is about 200 feet from the state border with Rhode Island, whose governor recently announced plans to push through adult use legalization this year, mostly as a reaction to neighboring Massachusetts' new system. 200 feet. Yesterday was the first day that registered medical marijuana patients in Ohio were able to walk into a dispensary to buy product. 4 shops in all opened up in Ohio yesterday, with reports coming back of happy crowds and temporary limits on the amount patients were allowed to buy. As we covered earlier this week, right now Ohio patients will only find flour available on dispensary shelves, but should soon expect oils and other processed forms in the coming weeks as those businesses spool up their operations. And finally for today, USA Today takes an interesting look at a new CBD-infused line of beverages rolled out this week, bearing the name of the late great reggae star Bob Marley. The Marley CBD beverage will sell for $5 to $6 a can and contains 25 milligrams of CBD each. With the federal restrictions on CBD falling away with the passage of last year's Farm Bill, this is a product that seems particularly well suited to seize 2019. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the lesser ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.